We've got a lot.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the executive meeting of, the May meeting of CB11's Executive Committee. My name is Jessica Elliott and I'm the vice chair of this committee. This meeting is called to order at 6:33 p.m. Tonight, we are joined by Angel McCain, the staff liaison to our committee. In order to conduct an efficient meeting, let's observe a few ground rules. No one may speak until granted the floor. CB11 members, if you have a question about board business or wish to make a motion, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized. Members should not engage in a back and forth discussion. The chair will recognize the next person to speak. The chat should not be used for CB11 business or questions about agenda topics. All such remarks should be made on the record when recognized. Please keep your questions and comments brief and on topic to the discussion. Members of the public, if you have a question or comment about the subject of the agenda, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized. We will now take attendance by roll call. Committee members, please answer present when your name is called.
Jose Altamirano. Present. Stephanie Arroyo. Adem Brija. Rosa Diaz.
Present.
Jessica Elliott.
Present.
John Green.
Here.
Emery Vasquez.
Present.
Nosa Arama.
Present.
Claudia Perez. Asha
Present.
Rodriguez.
Present.
Oh, there she is. Thank you, Claudia. Asha Rodriguez.
Present.
Xavier Santiago. Isaac Scott. Present. Jason Villanueva.
Present.
We have quorum.
Thank you. The agenda for tonight's meeting was distributed ahead of time by the board office and was posted online. If there is no objection, we will adopt the agenda as stated. Committee members, if you object to adopting the agenda, you may raise your hand. Yeah, bless you. Thank you, Tom. Seeing no objections, the agenda for tonight's meeting is adopted. The minutes from the last meeting were distributed to committee members ahead of time as this morning, but we're not, that's my fault. If there's no objection, we'll, before we adopt the minutes, I just wanted to make sure, on the motion for, the letter of support for Taino Towers, I couldn't tell on the recording who the second was. I know Rosa motioned and I just couldn't tell based on the video or the transcript who was the second, so it's just a blank.
Okay.
Highlighted, I'm sorry. So other than that, if there's no objection, we'll adopt the minutes from that meeting. Committee members, if you object to adopting the minutes, you may raise your hand to be recognized. Seeing no objections, the minutes from the last meeting are adopted, and I will be taking tonight's meeting minutes. We'll move along in our business. Are there any announcements today? Seeing none. Are there any informational? No, we're moving on to our presentations and discussions. The first item is the request for board funding for the East Harlem Law Day. I know. I think Angel, you were gonna introduce it and Jason's on the line.
Well, Jason's here. You got it.
Hey Jason, how you doing? Can you hear us?
Jason Wu.
I see you unmuted, but I haven't heard you yet.
Hi, I think I'm actually doing the presentation. This is Magda Rosa Rios from the Legal Aid Society.
Oh, okay, great. Can you repeat your name for the minutes?
Sure, Magda Rosa Rios. I am the citywide director of our Housing Justice Unit Group Advocacy of Legal Aid's Harlem Community Law Office.
Thank you very much and welcome.
Sure. And so we're requesting, the Harlem Community Law Office is presenting an East Harlem Law Day. It's something that we've been thinking about doing for a while, particularly and specifically for the East Harlem community. And what it will consist of is a series of Know Your Rights seminars, as well as tabling on different areas of the law that Legal Aid provides services in. So that will include information about our criminal practice, about our juvenile rights practice, and then seminars about the different units that comprise our civil practice, specifically housing, NYCHA, public benefits, education, community development, which is our work with small businesses and nonprofits, and a few others. And many of our other units, immigration, I forgot immigration. How could I forget immigration? And many of our other units will also be tabling. We envision this being an all-day event. on a Saturday. We originally planned to have it on June 1st, but we now have had to postpone it till September. The new date will probably be September 28th. It will run from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. and we would like to present or to provide food, refreshments. For the participants, we anticipate a minimum of 100 participants coming through. And we're asking for help with the cost of the food. We're asking for $500. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Martha Rosa. Are there any questions from the committee? A couple questions. Have you hosted an event like this before?
Not on this scale, no. We do a
And,
lot of Know Your Rights sessions, but not on this scale, not an all-day event with all the different practice areas of the Legal Aid Society.
And then the different groups that you mentioned, that NYCHA and other groups that you are hoping to engage for this event, have you reached out to them already and started that engagement?
We have a lot of relationships with NYCHA, with different landlords, with different housing providers. All of our units are actively engaged in providing services, in providing information, and providing Know Your Rights. About this particular event, because we've had to postpone it till September, we haven't started our specific outreach for this event yet.
Understand. Any other questions from the board?
If I may, why was it postponed? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you say.
We ordered or have ordered a number of materials, Know Your Rights materials, as well as other things that are just not going to be ready by June 1st. And because so much of our staff is out during the summer, we thought it makes the most sense for us to present this in September when people are back from vacation and after the school year has begun.
Can I also ask, will there be personnel that speaks more than one language?
Yes, we will make, Spanish is one that we will cover, but we'll probably cover French. Well, right now, those are the ones that we have planned. It's Spanish and French, but we will see as the date approaches what other languages we think we will need and make provisions for that. Oh, by the way, I did forget to mention that even though we will be tabling and most of the event will be legal rights, we're also inviting different community organizations from East Harlem to see if they would like to table as well. And I've had people tell me that is something that they would be interested in doing.
Thank you. Angel?
Hi, Magda.
Hi.
I might have missed this, but where in the district will the event be held?
So the space that we got was at Dream Charter School. I'm waiting for them to confirm whether or not that's a space that will still be available in September.
Thank you.
Sure.
Ms. Magda,
Mhm.
will it be like, would the people that are in need of legal services, would they go and get service, or would it be like an appointment for them to come in a month or so?
No, this is strictly informational. This is not for intake. So people can come in and learn about what their rights are and learn about the services that we provide. If somebody actually needs representation, our staff that will be present can take that information and can let them know how they can access services, but they will not be able to access services at this event.
Thank you.
And then I see a hand raised, Claudia, for us.
Hi, yes, I would only ask due to the fact of the location that there be somebody who speaks Chinese, because we do have a large Asian community
Yeah,
with
yeah.
the demographic of the Dream Charter School.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we can set that up. So yeah,
And
Thank
as
you.
I understand, the event is gonna be happening in September. Our typical process, is to hear, a presentation and request, and then to, do our due diligence over the course of the next month, and make a decision in the following month. So I just, if it would be okay with you, we would like to take a position on this item next month at our June agenda, if that, works with your schedule.
yeah, that's not a problem. I appreciate it. I appreciate you hearing us out and considering the request.
Perfect. Thank you so much, and it's nice to meet you, and, we will, reach out with any questions and let you know. There's no need for you to, show up to the next meeting, unless you can or would like to. But we will be sure to send you any additional questions that we have in advance.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Magda.
All right. Have a good night, everybody.
All right, next, we have the review of the draft agenda for the upcoming full board meeting. Jamie, so do that.
We have that on the screen, please.
No, you have it printed right there, okay.
Okay,
I have this staff so unruly.
so we will start the full board meeting.
Thank you, you're a good American.
I
like this.
read it already, thank you.
This month is May. We will start.
Oh, my.
It's good to read before the meetings. Wow.
All right, we'll have a public hearing on the City of Yes for housing opportunity at the beginning of the meeting, and we will then hear from George James, our land use consultant, on his presentation about the proposal, which we're very much looking forward to. In our business session, we will start with licenses and permits. Any big picture items for next week?
Jessica? The hearing that should have been switched around, should be presentation first then hearing,
Okay,
but I'll switch it.
thank you.
No, it was pretty much.
Okay, so there was, so it looks like there's a,
Oh, wait, sorry, there was one thing. There was that, Mexican Independence in September, where we had the two groups that wanted the same day, same time, same location. It dragged on for a while, we had some meetings off the record, and they're trying to get a compromise, otherwise they're gonna be forced to pick one, we're not vote for either. And Alex Garcia offered to only do it for this year, and then to give it to the other person, who was Diana, every year moving forward. She didn't agree to it before the meeting, she said she had to think about it, when she came to the meeting, she asked if she could, that she was okay with that, but that she also wanted to do the event the Saturday, right before, the day before. And, we said no to that, because you're having the same type of event 2 days in a row. I feel like a lot of people might go to her event on Saturday and not go to his. And so we just told her no, and that we give it to her moving forward, and that was it. So he has it this year, and then she can have it every year moving forward. She wanted it in writing, said we don't put things in writing, these meetings are recorded. But you can have it every year moving forward, assuming that you're in good standing and there's no issues.
You're referring to 17?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
and
16 and 17 probably.
Yeah, 16.
since it's, I understand one is Historic Heritage Festival and one is Mexican.
They're for like the same thing.
But yeah, it seems to both be about,
Yeah, they're celebrating that same thing, they just have different names,
But
and yeah,
that-
like I said, a negotiation, you meet in the middle, you
Yeah.
don't try to police the other.
why
way.
can't we all work together?
Sunday,
We asked them that, if they'd be willing to do it together, they didn't want.
Sunday's the big day though, 'cause they have a parade. And so after the parade, people usually go to the event, so that's why they're fighting over that
I
sign.
started thinking that it was my full-time job, and the amount of going back and forth.
Cause I'm on that block, my understanding
Yeah.
is she started it, she was doing it,
She did with Pablo
and then
Guzman.
and then he kinda came and
Well, when the pandemic happened, they didn't apply, he applied before.
he applied before them.
A shooting. But she said it wasn't related, but we couldn't get a definitive answer, we invited the precinct, but they never really
Yeah.
weighed in on that, but there was a shooting one year where she did.
Yeah, pick up your phone.
She says it was not,
Yeah,
related to it, so I mean, I'll take her word for it, shootings can happen, but
It's domestic issue.
was it?
That's what I heard.
Okay, so that's whatever, but yeah.
It's not good.
Did y'all have a question?
This,
It wasn't related to that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
It has to do with, the low income health care. Did you get the paperwork for us in front of the board?
I don't, when did you, for what month did you apply
For
for?
September.
No, but like, when did you submit it to be on the agenda? Like, do you know when you submitted the paperwork to the
Well, I
board?
think the,
But it goes to Marlene, it doesn't come to me, I won't see it till the end, you know. I can check the air table and tell
yeah,
you.
I put it in March. I think.
Oh, then you should, then you
It-
should have.
Maybe April, maybe it's the beginning of April.
I'll check with Marlene, I'll email her after the meeting and I'll tell her to get back to you. We have meetings next month, right?
Yeah, June.
So get everything and we'll see you in June, and if it's in September,
Yeah.
if we see you next month, you'll be fine.
Okay, thank you.
I guess Angela, is there any concern about, you know?
there are a lot of concerns.
Okay.
Where do you want me to start?
Here we go.
I would love you to start at the beginning.
No, I don't know.
Alright, I just wanna make sure that.
Angel likes what I say.
I didn't even know what you're talking about. You mean the Independence Day Festival?
Yeah.
No, I then got it. Yeah, that was it.
Okay, alright, anything else?
No, that's.
Alright,
so there was a war for independence Mexican between Mexico.
Oh, well,
alright,
So land, so yeah, the Parks Committee,
yeah,
yeah,
next,
to get them to be
I
quiet.
know, getting quiet over there.
I don't care. I
The
know the
next committee is my committee, Environmental Constituent Parks. What do we have? We have a presentation by the Independent Budget Office on the research brief on the consolidated sanitation facility. Based on our request for them, I reached out to Jason and Xavier to see if they might present next month. I think we all agreed that as many presentations as they can do, we would like to have. But Jason, I know that there's a lot going on in your committee, so okay for June, or should we just plan to have a full board?
September.
Okay,
oh my God.
so we'll do full board.
I know, I mean, with all due respect,
No, you have a lot.
yeah, you'll see when we talk at land use.
Okay, so we'll look for, hopefully June at full board and then, September from land use. It was really helpful and I think, is pushing us down a road, for progress in some way. We also talked about the Earth Day conference recap, things that we might do differently, things that we enjoyed. And then we talked about the community gardens tours. So just a reminder that, just like last year and the year before, where we did the park tours around the neighborhood over the summer, the Environmental Conservation Parks Committee is going to be doing something similar, but with the community gardens this year. So we'll be releasing a schedule for that, and y'all are invited to attend. The public is invited to attend. Everyone is invited to attend. But the goal is to get to know our community garden friends and to see what their needs are and how we can be a better partnership with each other. That is it from environment, open space and house. I believe housing did not have quorum this month. Is that correct?
It's great.
Next we have land use.
Yeah, we had a great meeting. We voted on being from Project Find, to dispossess a piece of land so that they can go to HPD for Europe, to provide more senior housing. We didn't get any complaints or concerns from the district or the membership. So we saw no fault in, supporting their request, because it will still go through a ULA process. Bigger fish on the agenda was the City of Yes Housing opportunity zoning text amendment. Very impactful discussion, a lot of major impacts that are gonna happen citywide. I really urge this board and its membership to get engaged. There's probably more housing advocacy concerns relevant to this zoning text amendment as opposed to land use and or preservation for that matter. So yeah, that's pretty much where we're at. I'm actually working on the Q&A now. Just from the land use committee alone, we have over 50 questions. I haven't received anything from housing. As a committee, I've reached out to other board members and we're in the position that we're in now, but
Probably go ahead and send it.
we are. we're not gonna refrain from our practice, but that's more for executive leadership to have some type of conversation with the housing committee.
Okay, and then, I understand we'll wait for their responses to that question. I know you're waiting on me to, draft up some resolution and stuff, so I'm on it. A little behind, so.
Yeah, no, you're good. We already have process. We have the template. We're gonna do it. And of course, you know, just as done in the previous two zoning text amendments, all members are welcome to opine, preferably before our next land use committee meeting. I did want to give an announcement, but I couldn't find it. And I don't want to lean on my staff liaison, but we are working on scheduling a training specifically for HPD financing. Because again, the constant deliberations that take a lot of time in the land use committee are housing advocacy issues and concerns and questions, like the whole AMI that you all hear about. It has nothing to do with land use, it has nothing to do with the city. It is a state debate, and the housing committee and housing advocacy groups need to come together, propose legislation, and fight that good fight so that every time that question comes up, it's not derailing a project that serves the disenfortunate. We get so caught up in the AMI, and I don't want to belabor it here, but the long and the short of it, we need to fact check ourselves, and as chairs, we need to hold our meetings to order, because having debates and arguments about things that are beyond our purview of control are a complete waste of time. And if anyone knows me, I'm all about time management, and I don't like my meetings going 3 hours because somebody didn't feel like they had an opportunity to voice their concern in the housing committee, so.
Great, so we'll, make it clear at full board to, get the questions in early, attend the meeting, weigh in early. Angel?
So we have a hold on June 17th for the training that, Jason was referring to with HPD.
June 17th.
Yeah, that's the hold. We're still waiting on final confirmation of that date. I think it's a Monday. On the AMI question, for those of you that frequent podcasts, on the May 10th Brian Lehrer show, there was what I found a very interesting and informative conversation. The episode is called "The Distortions of AMI," and it's a conversation with Samuel Stein, and who's attended our housing committees and committee meetings in the past, and Oksana Mironova from the Community Service Society, talking about AMI at length. It's about half an hour. And it's very informative. There's a couple of questions in the middle that are a little confusing, but ignore that part. There are sections where they're explaining the difficulties and the reality of AMI. I think is very informative to Jason's point. Like there's and they speak to it on the in the podcast. There is a visceral, almost emotional reaction to the term AMI, right? And because it's a complicated thing, not everybody has a full understanding of what it actually is and how it's actually said and where it actually applies. We at the stable should all know that it's not just the 5 boroughs, even though it's this area, and you would think it's just our city. It isn't. It isn't just the 5 boroughs. There's also 3 surrounding counties, which raise the median income even higher. And there's other considerations that the federal government, puts into the calculus of the AMI. So that's why that number is so large. And then changing it impacts a number of things. It's not just, the city snaps their fingers and it happens. The city can snap all of its fingers. It'll never happen. It's a federal thing. The federal government has to do it. So if you don't have the opportunity if you haven't had the opportunity to hear it yet, I suggest that you try to find the time to do it. It's pretty helpful. They speak in plain English, even though the terms are a little complicated. Yeah, for that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any questions?
Oh.
Right.
I wanna know like where to find the impact, but
Do you listen to podcasts?
I wanna learn.
Oh, okay. So I'll share, there's a couple of different apps that you can use to listen to podcasts, and I'll the name of the show is the Brian Lehrer Show. It's on WNYC, but they also make their conversations on the radio available as podcasts. So yeah, I use Podcast Addict, if that helps. but you can use any number of them, but just search for Brian LaRochelle.
Thank you, Angel.
Any
welcome.
questions?
Thank you.
Next we have public safety and transportation.
I mean, this time Michelle should do it, she chaired it, but
Are you ever gonna chair your own committee?
since she's not here, I'll have to do the work. Yeah, no, I was sick, so I couldn't be present, but I'm virtual. Anyhow,
Take vitamins, bro.
the Second Avenue subway is really starting to move. We had a conversation regarding the removal of the bike lanes on Second Avenue. They're changing a lot of infrastructure. They moved some city bike standings on like Second and before they're doing it it's like a 3-year move. I'm sure we'll hear from Leslie and that group from Franklin Plaza very soon about the changes. Because Franklin Plaza owns the sidewalk. I love you, Leslie. So, but they will be coming, the issue we had with that is that First Avenue is now, the First Avenue protected bike lane is now two-way street, is a two-way. And they kind of did that. We didn't have much warning, but the problem with that is that all the signage and all the, everything that regards public safety with those bike lanes and pedestrians is only facing north. So now a lot of elderly people that are used to just looking one way are having like a couple of scares. There were some scares around East River, Johnson, significant complaints around East River. The signage is not set up for that yet. Even the lights, because usually bikes have to follow the street,
They put some,
but there's not much because it's in the opposite direction. So they would have to put something just for that.
I think they don't hold me to it, but like where I am, I think they did put like at least one, I saw like a
Yeah.
light going south for the bikes, yeah.
And I think they'll do it more and more as it keeps going, but in the beginning, obviously, a lot of people. Yeah, a lot of people had certain situations with regards to that. There was also a presentation 96th Street, the bus lanes, they're making some changes there. Announcements, anyone that obscures their license plates and not pay tolls. Gonna have some very big fines, and after 3 fines, they will take away your registration. Honestly, they should do something to your license, but I guess registration is enough. And they're doing something with the city's truck route network. That's going to be up, and I think it's a new local law, so they're redesigning how the trucks come into the city now. And then we had a street co-naming that we kind of have pending. We do have an issue with street co-namings. There was something put on us by city council a few years ago in terms of what requirements, what kind of community engagement that individual had to have with the community. In order to get a street co-naming, many years ago, we didn't have that, so there's a lot, we were doing more street co-namings than with the licenses and permits, I think. It was and then since that, we've limited, recently though, one fell through the cracks and we're having to have that conversation because obviously everyone loves their loved ones that are deceased, but we have like 2 of them that, great individuals, beautiful people, but we don't really see that connection to the community, what they actually, other than being a good neighbor and good citizen and things of that nature, and it's become a little bit of a difficulty, obviously, because no one wants to like vote against it in that situation. Going forward, we're gonna try to limit, if it doesn't fall in that category, it just won't go on the agenda prior, so that we don't have to be in those situations, and I'll speak to Khalid and Angel in regards to that, because it is, obviously, once people are in and they think it's all there, then they just automatically assume they're getting it, and then what I typically do, that's on the council, but then when council says no, they just come back, and some people just don't want to hear no. So, we're going to be making those changes, and that's what
So adding on to that, and I just sent an email before this meeting to the Public Safety Committee. I had put this on the website, but didn't reflected in the procedures, and it's just a short note that I hope can help the committee. And it's requiring any applicants. So by way of information, the council has to pass legislation to do a co-naming. They only hear those asks for legislation in the spring and the fall. We never know the exact date, we just know spring, fall. So to help us, what I've instituted is that applicants have to get their full package in by January 20th for us to consider it for spring. And by August 20th, for us to consider it for fall. That way, that gives the committee time to do it this month or the following month, has a little bit of flexibility, get it in time for the council to then take the ball from there. As Jose was saying, there's process and submitting all the paperwork, but then there's judgment too. The committee has to make a judgment, a value judgment as to whether it wants to support this particular person, whether this particular person or honoree merits, or they want to get behind supporting, honoring this particular person. That is difficult, right? Because as Jose was alluding, some of the requests come with emotion. Someone, you know, in this instance is trying to honor their mother. That's a heck of a lot to say no to somebody, but everybody has a mother. You can't name every single street. So there has to be a judgment call made, and that is a difficulty on the committee. So it's something that they're gonna have to figure out, but, you know, we haven't yet determined, okay, only in this instance do we, whatever. And we do inform the applicants that at the end of the day, this is a council determination. So you have to meet the criteria of the council, and then we work back from there. Right? So it has to be a person that's deceased, that's a person that, you know, has, forget what their term was, and has like significant community impact. We can submit something and say, oh, I love this person, and be very excited about it. And council, when they present it to the rest of the council, they'll determine, yeah, no, doesn't meet it, and then not grant it. So we're in the position of the committee's in the position of making a value call, but it's not always easy. So the easiest thing that we can do is ensure that our process is as clean as possible. And then within that process, you know, be clear with the applicant, you know, and this is hard, but it's kind of what we have to do, is if it's not up to snuff, or if it isn't something that the committee is likely to push forward, just kind of tell them ahead of time before it gets on the agenda, and then people get motivated. In this particular instance, this person is very well intentioned. It's just a tough situation. However, one criticism is that this person, in their excitement, moved ahead with a number of plans. It was like, you know, trying to, you know, organize a street event to coincide with the street co-naming, as if this thing was going to be automatic or that smooth. That shouldn't have happened. Like, I understand their excitement and enthusiasm. Unfortunately, with that excitement and enthusiasm, there's a level of expectation that they set themselves to that we weren't able to fulfill. So that has led to their disappointment is the kindest word. It's been a little bit more colorful than that, respectful, but more colorful, and has gone around to a number of the local, you know, council members expressing concerns with our process. This wasn't really a process issue. It's more of a expectation issue. And unfortunate, you know, that their excitement didn't match up with what we were able to do for them.
I think this is a really great opportunity because like, I think this is a good change for that process. And then there's, you know, like we talked about last month with the, you know.
Actually, the process has been in place.
I know, but like. As
It's
we're
just that
thinking-
we've been applying it very well, just this kind of just fell through the cracks. It should have stopped prior to it. This was a process forced on us by city council, because it was right before I became chair, they basically denied everything
Right.
that we sent, because there were so many street co-namings, and they were like, no, you can't do this for everyone. Like, it's supposed to be an honor, it's supposed to be like, you know, and they gave us
Right.
kind of a thing, and just following that criteria, this doesn't really fall under that criteria.
Yeah, but I think similar to the conversation that we had last month, where we have all these last minute requests for funding for the, you know, elected officials, opportunities, like where else? I think we should all think about where else we can find opportunities like this to be like not only as fair as possible, but as transparent as possible, as proactive as possible, so that we're not like pointed at as, you know, the people not doing the right thing when we know that we are. So if there's any other opportunities for this or problems that you've had in other committees, we can talk about it, but thank you both for that. Any questions for public safety? Human services?
So we had two presentations. We have two new additions to our information update section. So we have the Center for Comprehensive Health Practice, CCHP, which is on 110th in Madison. We also have Memorial Sloan Cancer Center there, and they're there a lot because I just thought it was really important that, you know, East Harlem understands and has access to cancer screening and knows more about just the importance of cancer screening. So that's on our informational update. So they joined us for the first time. CCHP came in person, which is great. They also have a new community liaison, Shannon, who will be working with us more closely. First presentation was from the Center for Human Development and Family Services. This is a agency that works in partnership with ACS to be able to provide, I want to say, pre-mediation support. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. I think you should watch our presentation. It's very informative, but it is specifically for people who have ACS cases, and before it sort of goes to that next level, this organization is able to intervene and provide family conferencing, stuff like that. The other presentation was from the Jewish Board and the Manhattan Certified Community Behavioral Health Clinic. So the Jewish Board has just become a certified CCBHC, so that's the Center for Behavioral Health. So when the organization becomes a part of, or I guess when they want to offer those services, they have to meet certain guidelines. So they are now under that umbrella, but don't have any connections to the community. So they wanted to come to get our support in helping them reach out to the community. So that was the fullness of those two presentations. We didn't review our budget request this month, but we will resume that because that's something on our agenda every month, but we'll revisit that next month as we're going into the budget season. So that's it.
Any questions for human services? All right, youth and education.
Okay, sorry, my voice is so tiny.
No worries.
So this month we had a very short agenda and we finished very early. And basically we tabled the 3K discussion on the vacant seats within East Harlem next month because the offers just went out. So we want to see how many people actually accept the offers. And we had a brief introduction to the Afro Latin Jazz Alliance, who's going to be in the Symbolic Terrace project. And they're just talking about programming, what they currently have in the art space on 99th Street that they want to bring to the neighborhood. And we voted on a presentation that we had in April, a letter of support for the Alvario Charter School for International Culture and Arts. This is a school already in the Bronx and
Any questions for youth and education?
Just a comment, I'm glad to hear that organization fulfilled their commitment. That was one of our requests prior to approving their ULIP. So I'm glad to hear from the chair of education that this new developer and this new cultural arts group is fulfilling the concern.
communications.
It's awesome to hear.
Jason, Angel?
I had, jumping on that, I had an opportunity to attend an event hosted by the Afro Latin Jazz Alliance. They've now changed their name to Belongo, which is a less of a tongue twister for me. But at that event, besides hearing a performance by their executive director, which was wow, they also shared in that meeting, in that event, the renderings for the actual cultural center. So like what we saw was renderings for the entire building. Did they show renderings of the?
No, they didn't
Yeah.
show them.
So they showed renderings at this thing. It was a private event, so I don't know if they're ready to blast it out. Incredible. Incredible.
They did
So like
say,
if that
Some
happens,
of the stuff they wanna have.
we're like beyond blessed,
Yeah.
really beautiful. Yeah, so let's, here's hoping.
What was the performance?
So it was Arturo Farrell, the director of it, who did 4 pieces on piano. So it was held at Steinway and Sons on 43rd Street. So like, fancy schmancy. on a Steinway, wow. Yeah, you know, like sometimes like people are like uber talented, like that guy was. Yeah, it was fantastic. And I think I've shared here before, I had an opportunity to go to Brooklyn to see their youth chorus, the Fat Cats, I probably mentioned at the meeting. Also incredibly impressive, a bunch of young people just, blowing it out, man, just
It
incredible.
was funny because I was a little bit aware of them because they worked with my high school.
Mhm.
Turns out their intern is someone who I knew from my high school. So
Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah.
Great.
that's dope. Yeah, so I think they said they're looking at, because they're right now in fundraising for the center, so I think they're looking at, 27 or 28 to be open, so depending on how their fundraising goes.
Okay.
But yeah, that'll be here before you know it, and then this neighborhood will have an incredible thing right across the street.
Wow. Great. Any other questions, comments? All right, moving along to executive. Oh, that wasn't ready. What did we talk about last?
It's for this one.
Oh,
What we're
oh,
doing
thank God. Okay. So whatever we talked about today.
Yeah, we can skip it.
Hopefully what to say.
Right.
She's about to like look at me. You're good. You're good.
Let's create something.
Right.
And last but not least, economic development and culture.
Hello, everyone. I'm Anne Marie, and I'm acting chair now at Echo.
Oh,
Congratulations.
Thank you.
acting, can I move on that?
We have one informational update from our workforce development organization, Union Settlement, where they presented the dates that they will start hosting the East Harlem Nights, May 17th, which is tomorrow. Will be their first on 104th Street between Second and Third Avenue. Then they have one on the 31st of May and then June 28th. They're also hosting visionary sessions for small businesses in June. That's will be virtual, and we also are planning to start their professional cooking job training program July 1st to August 30th. They will have an info session on that, May 15th, and I believe the next up that will be May 21st. And they also will be hosting a virtual merchant meeting, May 21st at 4 o'clock. We also had two presentations. One was from the Classical Theater of Harlem. They will start their Shakespeare in the Park production in July. I believe the production is at the show is at 8 o'clock, but between 5 and 7:30, they will have Uptown Grand Central there with their vendor pop-up. That'll be July 6th. And July 13th, 18, 27, they will also have community activations where they have resources out there and health cleaning and so forth right before the show. Great. And Marcus Garden Park. And the second presentation was from DCA, Department of Consumer Affairs. They presented Victory Beyond Sins, which is the public art project artwork conceptual design. This is the statue of the Central Park.
Yeah.
They brought it down, and now I believe they selected an artist. Her name is Vinnie. I couldn't get her last name. Did you get her last name?
Yeah, it'll come to me in a second.
Well, Vinnie,
Yeah.
she's the artist. She created the sculpture, and the sculpture is a woman with angel wings. I don't remember what she's holding in her hand, but it's
She's holding
something.
flames
Flames.
and that medical staff thing.
Yes. It's about 9 feet, correct?
Yeah.
9 feet tall, and I believe they're working on a gate to put behind it because there's a space and because of landmark. Rules, we can't put anything there, so we're gonna put a gate. They're working on getting a gate, created for that space. It's gonna take about 2 years to finally have the sculpture up, but they want to start in September. Great questions?
I think the last name was Bagwell.
That's it, I just,
Thank you.
yeah, thank you.
Dude, I'm interested in that.
It's a beautiful, beautiful sculpture.
I know that was something, we have been working on for a really long time, but, just curious, did they have like a deadline they needed to meet?
I know they needed a letter of support.
Yeah, we're doing it now.
Or, okay, so it was an expedited request. I was just curious why we voted on it. Yeah.
Oh, you guys both voted on the statue?
I didn't, our community.
The design.
Okay, but I echoed that,
Yes, because it's something they had a deadline.
okay. All right, I'll look at your minutes. I'm interested in what you guys
I am also.
approved to physically be put in place and how it's being supported and art, as we know, is subjective. So, something that I know this, it'll come out later.
Yeah.
Like, you'll have what's that guy from, Echo Dev? That's that petitions concern from the museum or one of those, but you'll have something like that, a senior come and say, we're kind of, I'm just interested. Second, for economic development, just informational purposes, different hat, Positive Workforce is sponsoring a grant as it stands right now where we have to train 3,000 participants with the interest of placing 600 human beings to work, right? So I'm looking to get one of my directors for communications to possibly present to your committee, but that's also open. I've reached out to some of you we haven't been able to touch. But the point is positive. We go all over the 5 boroughs looking for young people, disenfranchised, old people, whatever word you want to use, human beings, put them into our facilities, train them, and acquire them applicable work with the intention, obviously, of being past the AMI, right? That's one thing we learned at CB11 with Positive is that the jobs that we're fortunate enough to get for our members are well above the AMI. So hopefully that's an incentive, and the trades, our focus will be electrical, plumbing, and mechanical, which are considered quick trades, aka skilled trades. So that offer stands to any chair, but my focus with my board and my staff liaison, another term we picked up from the CBA, is to get them in contact with you, so then that way we can build a relationship and then hopefully do it citywide. Because the mandate is citywide.
What state of the?
We already started.
Okay.
Yeah,
The training is already started?
yeah,
It's ongoing.
it'll be ongoing. Our challenge is a pipeline of able, willing bodies to come and train in person and go to work. Fortunately, I guess the world is working because nobody's coming.
Got a lot of young people.
I know, that's why I called you that other day. Yeah, I'll text you, I'll send you a flyer.
Okay, yeah.
That's actually what flagged it, because we were under the impression as an organization that everything was coordinated, and then when I seen the newsletter from CB11 and our flyer wasn't there, I was like, all right. It's not good that I'm a chair on this committee and we're not connecting, so. That's how it goes.
I can send an email blast to all our patients that will link it.
The more hands in the pot, the merrier. We're not turning anyone down, regardless of any stage of their human affairs.
Great. I see 2 hands. We'll go to Rosa and then Nelsa.
So I wanted to know, definitely send me the flyer because I'm the president of Manhattan High School. So I would like to send it to like 350,000 children.
18 and older, sorry.
I was gonna ask the age.
Yeah, they gotta work legally.
We do serve children up to 22 years old.
Awesome.
in the district public school. And we also love that you can do a presentation. Now we can pass that to our chair from youth and education.
Yeah, definitely send out community. I'll tell my director there when you guys are available. I know there was some snickering about, I know some of us are new to the process, but after June, we go on recess, typically July and August, and that was the statement of why I said September. So, we'll do the work over the next 30 days to get everything, but my phone won't turn off over the summer if you're interested. So.
All right, Nelsa? And then
Hello,
Bonnie.
can you hear me? I just wanted to go back to the Victory statue. This community fought really hard for that particular design. That design was heard at the museum. And at first, the panel who was selecting that piece picked another artist whose artwork did not represent what this community wanted. And even though the community overwhelmingly wanted the Victory statue, there have been pressure for another artist. If you go back and you search the Victory statue, you will find video when Raja Flores was here and he had sent the link where we vehemently fought for that statue, and that statue is amazing. So if this community board doesn't remember how hard
We fought for that statue when I was chair. I suggest that you look it up and look up the minutes, because, nothing should be changed. That statue spoke to all that were in the community, and it was selected through a community process.
Great, anything else, Claudia? Oh. Did you have a question, Claudia?
No, I'm good. I lowered my hand. Thank you.
Okay, all right, Isaac.
It's not a question about that. We don't have anybody from the Lincoln giving any updates no more at the Human Services Committee. So I saw some gentlemen from Lincoln the other weekend at the wellness event. And I asked them to just let you know there would be some representation at the Human Services.
But they used to be me.
Yes. It was. Yeah, so we had Dr. Ponce for one visit.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, so yes.
I would, but
And what happens when you get?
And it can be in September, it's okay, because I know we got June, and so it could be September if we need the time to get somebody.
Angel?
Just if you're done with the agenda, I have something to share about like roster.
Yes, just a quick note that should we flip economic development and?
I will.
Okay, thank you.
I'll say something before Andrew. I just want to say, yesterday was the first time that I heard about this old statue. I've never heard about it before.
Yeah.
So that's what new to me, but yeah, it was a beautiful sculpture, so. CBC, I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I don't know
I don't
what's going
know
on,
where it
because I just found out
What
about
happened
it.
is there was another statue that was problematic, but this one has gone through a lot of steps to get to.
So I came in towards the end.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, that's what the staff liaisons are for and the committees to help make sure we're in the right direction.
Yeah.
And I think you're gonna do great as chair, so thank you for stepping up and we're excited to have you.
They just put me.
Yeah. Right in fire.
Angel,
Yeah, so the presentation from last night's meeting is up on the website. Yeah.
thank you.
And actually, this was supposed to have already happened, but it got kind of stuck in negotiations between the city and DCLA, between the artists and DCLA. And I guess they resolved all that, so they were able to come and finally show us. So that's really great for that whole process. They got held up. So I just wanted to share a quick update about our roster and why Anne Marie is not the chair. So we had four of our former members that did not reapply or were not reappointed. April Autry, Devin Cronshaw, Giselle Malave, and Nicholas Reyes. Giselle, of course, was the chair of our ECHO, and with her departure, Anne Marie ascended to chair in that committee.
can you repeat those names again?
Yeah, sure. April Autry, Devin Cronshaw, Giselle Malave, and Nicholas Reyes. And then we have 14 new members, soon to be 13. I don't know most of these people. Carmen Arroyo, Marcel Bondima, Jocelyn Cruz, Arnice Foster Hernandez, who used to be the director for the Harlem Historic Parks. So it's a pretty great ad. Pascal Hano, I don't know how to pronounce that name yet. Stanley Johnson, Samantha Pereiro, Valerie Ponte, who I think was on here before, Jennifer Rosado, Derek Stampone, Alida, I do not know how to pronounce his last name. I'll guess Chikambud. I guess we'll learn. Nye Whitaker was reappointed. She had that a couple of years ago. Justina Williams and Shanique Woodfalk.
Shanique?
Shanique. So Sean within, it's H and a W. Meek Woodfalk. That's it. Thank you.
All
I
right,
don't know these people.
we'll look forward to meeting them.
Getting a reminder.
And then,
Yeah, we losing too many members on our committee. How many we down to now? Like 4, 5?
I think it's just you and Marlene.
Yeah, that's what it felt like.
well, just-
I'd be good. with it.
Yeah. I'm not opposed to every member, but April was a good member. Like, that was one, yeah, that was one I didn't want to.
we will
And I think
be-
that was a childcare thing too, if I'm not mistaken, so.
It's the worst
Y'all, can you
time.
just wait to be
Yeah.
recognized so that we can?
Oh, sorry.
Thank you. We will be, we're looking into hosting something over the summer, to, similar to what we used to do, like just to be in community with each other. Last year, we hosted something and barely anybody showed up, so if we as the leaders of the executive committee can, help to ensure that people are showing up to these events, show up yourself. I think That's like one of the biggest things that we need to help new members is to be there for each other and help them learn the process.
I think timing is an issue. We should do it before school is out.
Yeah.
And not wait until school is out, and most people have to take their kids on vacation somewhere, trying to take, so it's like. I would, if we're gonna do that, I would aim for like early June, even though that's right around the corner. Well, it's for 2 weeks,
Just
you
like
know,
tomorrow.
we used to like just do a
And you
little
know, that-
barbecue here.
That's a great point that you just said right
Okay.
there. That's the challenge. You just said it. It's the notice, it's the appropriation, even like with the HPD item, right? It's like the thought isn't to do it when people can't show up. And then I have this conversation all the time with my staff about, I know we live in a digital era, but there's nothing more powerful than human contact and voice communication. So I know you, as some of you are part of my committees, I have no issue reaching out to you directly every meeting just to make sure you're there. Selfishly, because I don't want to waste my time and show up to a meeting that I'm not gonna have quorum. But I think, yeah, if we get, it's a challenge. We're not gonna answer it tonight, but I've seen Rosa step up. We finally have a secretary in the last 10 years that's actually engaging with the board members. So maybe we can even start getting that process of texting, and it's for me, I'm being selfish. I can't keep up with the calendars, the emails. I try very hard. I can't. I physically and spiritually just can't. So it's just out there. I don't know if we could find a way to solve that, but I find that when I do events and I call human beings, they show up a lot faster than when I expect. What happened to me just now with this grant, that my communications director had no issue advising me, oh, I sent all the emails. Great. How do we follow up?
Yeah, well, as you know, everyone who came in for the attendance stuff, I called every person individually, and there's been a lot of that, but. You know, it is a lot of work and it is a group effort here, so, you know, we all need to work together to make it work, no matter when it is, where it is. If people can't make it, nobody's gonna hold it against them, but if you can make it, you should try your best. Anything else on the full board agenda?
So, hold on, we won't get those new members on our committees until September, or
Right.
we're gonna do them?
But they are invited to come to meetings, and I think that would be helpful. If anyone's listening, that they should come to all the meetings that they can, and they can vote,
Full board on
at
Tuesday.
full board.
I'll
Yeah, be
recommend one of
able
the
to-
first things I did as a new member was I went to every committee.
Yeah.
Just to
exactly.
get a taste, you
Good
know,
to know.
and I definitely recommend any new member, land use is the space.
All right, next on the agenda, Angel?
All new people. So the one,
Raising your
I did raise my.
I know, I said quit raising.
Oh, so one suggestion for that event you're gonna have with
Yeah.
the new members is, I kind of, I think that the new members would benefit from exchanging with the existing members.
Yeah.
And if the existing members could go a little further than just a hello and welcome, but, talk to them honestly about what it takes to be a member, be a productive member. We had a number of members, I think 12 were appointed at this time last year, and half of them are gone.
Yeah.
And I think part of it is, time considerations, but also workload expectations. I've been saying this to the borough president's office for a very long time, and it's definitely falling on deaf ears. These folks are not being trained, so they're coming in and all of a sudden Angel's sending 1,000 emails. I think it's unfair to them. Someone should speak to them frankly about, okay, look, this is everything that gets sent to us, and in order to do this productively, it requires this amount of time and this amount of focus. Just be honest with them up front so they're not overwhelmed with their thinking it's gonna be just show up and leave, and then all of a sudden, we're pastoring them to, did you read this? Did you read this? Did you read this?
Could I also add to that? I think in that same line, preparing them for the attention that some of these issues that we talk about sort of bring up, because I've seen a lot of people get discouraged in participation because they don't want to feel like they're taken aside, or they're things like that, or they shut down completely because they're not informed about a particular issue, things like that. So I think letting folks know that, sometimes these issues are, very sensitive and, you know, just preparing them for that and encouraging them to engage even at the limited amount of knowledge they have.
That's a great point. Maybe you should make a speech when they first get here. I'll call you to the
I
stage.
don't mind being a part of that orientation, yeah, because last year, I ran into more issues with new members than anything. The year before was old members. I'll be quiet.
John, and then us.
Yeah,
Well, actually, the things that, especially with budget and district needs, because we only have September and October. And with new members, and I mentioned that last year, as it wasn't, and what we started doing was maybe putting the budget this week, we started to be part of every meeting.
Yeah.
Because we know we only have 2 meetings to get all of our requests in line and to the budget district committee. And having a new member there, you drop them and go with something is, what is this? So basically, I've tried to make myself available to anyone that I get to, if I can explain anything to them, then I try my best to explain to them so they'll understand what's available.
Thank you, John. Clement?
No, just piggyback on what Isaac said, you know, when I was a new member, it was very overwhelming when I first started, especially with voting, which is why, you know, when I became a chair of public safety, we pioneered listening 1 month, voting on the next month, which now a lot of other committees are doing, and I hope it's something that could push to the entire community board, because I think it is obviously timely, you know, some things have to be because of the need. Or like license and permits, we did that, we'd never get it, like that has to be monthly. Testing, you know, we don't do that monthly longer, but I think it's very useful for the newer members, because then it gives them time to kind of do a little research. Cause I remember when I was a new member and it was just like, vote on this, I don't even know, and you're like, yeah, how many people would yes, okay, yeah, whatever.
right. That's a good, if I may, Chair, that's a great point. The parliamentary procedure, which is something this board has definitely lost during the digital era. Maybe a discussion at this, do we have a date or an expected date? Okay, so it's gonna be over the summer, we
Yeah,
think?
we're thinking July maybe,
Okay, okay,
but I mean, it's not gonna work for everybody. Maybe we'll have to.
okay.
But yeah, great points. Thank you, everyone. And I think, you know, nothing better than highlighting the great work that you all do and the great leadership that you have in this board. So, you can be there. And I think all these points are extremely important to raise at any new member, event. So thank you for your input.
And then,
Yeah.
also, you know what I mean, encourage, as chair, you have to also encourage all the members to, you know, come in person, and if they have any inconvenience, emergency or anything, to like, let you know. Now, we're having new members, and we have to let them know, you have to come in person.
Yeah.
You know, like, unless you're safe, or unless, you know, family emergencies happen in a minute. We're not gonna like, you know, like take you off just because you had a family emergency. It does happen, you know. But let us know. That's it. Anything personal.
Perfect coming from the secretary. Just as we would expect. Thank you so much. Okay, moving along, we have just a couple more things. The street activity permits. Do you want to walk us through them?
Yeah. I know one was the African Center, I think, South African Day celebration.
Can we start with the remembering our local?
Oh, yeah, well, that one, okay, I don't, you gotta refresh my memory, I checked, they have it.
So no action necessary to deny,
SAPO denied.
Oh, they do not have.
so we don't need to do anything.
Wow,
So we don't have to
Okay.
do it.
Next,
Okay.
excuse me.
Never mind.
And then what about the next one?
So we kept it on there just so we have a consistent paper trail.
Thank you.
Yeah, this one you do have to vote on.
Okay, yeah, they did not have letters of support, they said they couldn't get any, then we told them to get some, and they miraculously got 3 all of a sudden. So they have everything they need now, so we can go ahead, I mean, we approved it as one of they sent the letters. This,
Your event is in 2 days,
what?
it's May 18th.
Yeah, I mean, that's not so bad, we've had events that were after, before our meetings. You know, so it happens, it's frustrating, because especially when it's, not this case, I'm not talking about this, but there are people who have done these for many years and they continue to forget that they need to do it in time. We've had to meet multiple times in the summer over this, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know, I mean, I've been thinking of a way. You know, we talked about it with your thing, right? You don't wanna be like the bad guy, but like, you know,
Gotta be
we're not
fair.
good to babysit either, so, you know. I'm almost a fan of like, it's different if it's new, it's the first time, but you've done it for a number of years and you can't get it in time, it should be like an automatic denial, if I'm being honest.
I agree.
So that's it on that. This liquor license, I looked at the agenda ahead of time. I don't know. Okay.
They decided to not, go forward with
Okay,
the application.
all right, yeah.
Was just
Okay,
the
so
one?
we're-
So just the one?
I will entertain the motion.
Yeah, I got a
Oh.
question before you take the motion. It says the committee recommends that this is approved. It got stuck for conditional.
So, yeah, we'll do a conditional, because they just were missing letters. So we just said if they didn't get the letters in time, that would then become a denial, but they didn't.
Yeah, so you already approved it.
It was conditional, so now an
We
executive.
gotta just
state-
like.
And
write
the
it.
condition was met.
Board.
We gotta write it.
If the commission was met and had. If the condition wasn't met, then we would have denied it.
Which that would be satisfied and ratified at full board. But either, way, it's okay.
I understand what you're saying.
It's,
but-
I don't care. It's up to you, Chair. It's your show.
Are you referring to the Africa thing?
Yeah.
That one?
Yeah, right there. that
Yeah,
one.
but-
It says the committee recommends that this
Yeah, but
application.
it's happening Saturday, so we have to have something in.
It's
before.
not full.
Yeah. So we're acting in that.
I'll make a motion. I'll second Isaac's motion.
Yeah, I was gonna make a motion to support the committee's recommendation to grant the permit for the African Day celebration on the 18th.
Thank you.
I'll say.
Second by Dem, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. Thank you, everyone. We'll move along to our new business, Homes Now Community Board sign-on letter. Angel?
Yeah, so, thanks for allowing me to add this to the agenda. We had scheduled this and a presentation to housing. Unfortunately, we couldn't get quorum. However, given that these are, what this letter is seeking to do is something that's at the top of our, budget priorities, like for time immemorial, like forever. I thought that it would make sense, since we're in the budget season right now, to consider signing on to this letter. And what the letter is aiming to do is to recommend to the council that they fund the Neighborhood Pillars program that helps community organizations acquire and rehabilitate buildings. So that's a preservation tool. And the Open Door program, which would finance the construction of new shared equity cooperatives. So these are affordable homeownership opportunities. Those are right at the top of our budget priorities. I printed a copy of the letter that, this is a campaign being led by the Community Service Society, among other organizations. And they prepared a letter, so I provided a copy of the letter. It's quite simple, just supporting it. And the amount of support that they're asking the council to give to these programs. They're asking the council to invest, the city to invest, $2.5 billion over 5 years in city capital budget, for permanently affordable housing for these two programs. So it would be $250 million a year for 5 years.
I just want to make sure I get the information right for the minutes, and then, is there a deadline for this sign-on?
So, council is in executive, is considering the executive budget currently and holding hearings now. So the impetus is to get the letter in now before they make their final determination on the executive budget.
All right, well, should we, I can read the letter out loud. Like, dear Mayor Adams, we are writing at the consortium of community boards across the city to express support for the hometown budget and demand to invest $2.5 billion over 5 years into the city capital budget for permanently affordable housing. Our communities are seeking record level rents, the rise of eviction, homelessness, the high housing costs is a key driver of the city's affordability crisis. The city must deepen its investment in permanently affordable housing to protect tenants from displacement while providing new homeownership opportunities. Financing the production and preservation of truly affordable housing is one of the most powerful tools the city has to stabilize neighborhoods and keep generations of working families in their communities. The Homes Now budget demand focuses on the following key programs: were just mentioned. The Neighborhood Pillars Program would help community organizations acquire and rehabilitate housing. This program would help make the necessary repairs to dilapidated buildings and ensure ongoing affordability. The Open Door Program would finance the construction of new shared equity cooperatives, granting New Yorkers a path towards homeownership to create generational wealth, especially for families left out of the traditional home ownership market. We are requesting that the funding be split between the above programs, with each program funded at $250 million each for the next 5 years. Neighborhood Pillars and Open Door would add to the city's critically needed affordable housing stock by allowing the Department of Housing Preservation and Development to construct or preserve thousands of climate resilient and accessible homes for New Yorkers who are becoming increasingly priced out of the city. Thank you for considering this budget request, 2.5 billion for million or billion? Oh,
Billion.
yeah, billion, thank you, I'm sorry. For permanently affordable housing programs. Are there any questions about this proposal?
I just have one youthful one. The two programs, we're asking the city to allocate this funding to city agencies or to a nonprofit?
No, to HPD, and then HPD allocates to the.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I guess one question that I have, and you may not know the answer, and that's okay, with the Neighborhood Pillars Program, speaking back to our conversations at land use about the, land bank, you know, vacant housing above the,
Mhm.
if a landlord doesn't want help, how does that process work?
So this program would be targeted to available properties, like what we were talking about at land use, are properties that haven't been made available by those owners, right? You would need the cooperation of those owners. There won't be any takings. So they're buildings that are available.
Any other questions? I think, would it be worth, do you think, adding to this, at all with just a note that says that this is in alignment with our top concerns and budget requests for the district needs process?
Sure.
Just to personalize it a little bit?
Yeah, add a little CB11 pepper.
Ribbon.
Okay, this is, I'll entertain a motion. John?
I move that we sign on to this letter because, you know, reports, to provide, affordable housing for the city of New York.
Do you want to add in the point about our,
Absolutely.
so we'll sign on to the letter with the addition,
The addition of, CB11, policy and on.
great, from the statement of exchange process, great. Do I have a second? Rosa. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Angel?
Well, if I can just add a quick note about, thank you guys for supporting this, or thank you for supporting yourselves. At land use, you know, we've had an extensive conversation about the city's housing opportunity proposal. I know you guys weren't all there. Encourage you to try to find the time to watch the presentation by the Department of City Planning. Well, like Jess said, we'll have presentations again on Tuesday. It's a massive proposal that, as we discussed at the committee, is pretty much on the side of this it's a market, what did I say there? It's a supply side argument, right? And you know, what they're basing this proposal on is that if you flood the market with enough units, then that'll, you know, either control costs or bring costs down. In my opinion, and I shared this during the meeting, that's absurd. It's been shown time and again that that's absurd. That doesn't happen. There is a proposal. There is a proposal within the larger proposal. I think it's called the Universal Affordability Preference or something. And it would require permanent affordable housing in non-MIH districts, non-mandatory inclusionary housing districts. But it's an option. So should the developer opt to take the additional floor area, then they will be required to provide that additional floor area as affordable. It's an option. So there may be cases where developers don't find that they need to do it, and so they won't. So all of this housing won't necessarily be affordable, right? So it's something that I think we should bear in mind and be very cognizant of. And then, given that there isn't so far is a corresponding push by the city to preserve housing, to develop affordable home ownership, and they have to be pushed like in this letter. I think that that's something that the board and frankly, the whole city and communities like this should be considering in their recommendations to the city on the housing opportunity proposal, which I think is flawed and lacking and won't address necessarily the affordability crisis in the city. It will address housing supply, but not housing affordability. Thanks, Joseph.
Thank you. All right, any other questions, any other new business? Last week, go ahead.
Just a consideration moving forward, not necessarily now or next month, but at one point, this particular committee executive was quarterly. For quite some time now, it's been monthly. And it causes all the chairs here at times to have issues with attendance, which we've been trying to crack down on. Luckily, we got an extension and everything else. But, you know, a lot of times we're meeting, it's just because people's, like Adam said, it's like, either they're very late, they're not doing things properly, and we're kind of like just caving on it constantly. A lot of the things here, we're gonna redo at the full board. It's kind of like a repetitive, you know, which I don't mind doing. I love seeing all you guys here, but it is something for consideration, you know, especially starting in September, where we can go back to quarterly, we could do attendance quarterly. But other than that, like I myself have been an attendance issue for this particular committee. I mean, like we have our 3 committees, and we have this committee, and it's like 4 committees, then we got full board, now we're at 5 committees. And then, you know, we're like at 6 committees, and like, you know, I mean, I should get like, we should all here have like our little community board 11 medals or something. But I think just for the leadership to consider that, I mean, at some point in the future, it would be nice to go. And now if there's an emergency situation where it's something critical that I'm sure no one here would disagree having a meeting that month, as long as it's set in the beginning of the month, but.
You say, Jason?
Which is a good point. I just want to add on, like, right, like SDN, we're talking about SDN. Where's SDN? Right? Housing. We've been talking, we spearheaded, we notified the board in housing back in November. Right? We're in May and June, and the month that they needed to meet, they didn't meet. So we are the leadership. Right? So what are we gonna do? Are we gonna continue to kind of give more rope and more space? Or are we gonna start following some of the recommendations that even our staff liaison provided, where it's time to start disbanding committees because they're failing to do their work, which is the reason why executive has to meet monthly.
Yeah, and that, I agree with that. I think you know, it is important while we are in leadership transition across different committees that we, as a leadership group, meet often. You know, maybe we don't need to meet every month, but I think it's something we can think about. But I mean, we are having weekly meetings, Angel, Xavier and I, about leadership. So it's, you know, we are talking about what is the future of housing, what is the future of eco dev, what is the future of, you know, state district needs. So it's, you know, we're not gonna have an answer in a day, right? But like, it's, you know, we want to make sure we're making the right decisions, and I look for your all's advice and comment as we move forward together, but we are working on it, and I personally think that meeting every month is helpful in that we spend time together as leaders and we get to cross-pollinate all of them, right? I have so many notes here from just talking about our whole board agenda of cross-committee collaboration items and things that we're learning from each other, and I think that's all great. Maybe it doesn't need to happen every month, but I think, you know, we should recognize that there are still challenges that we face as leaders of this board, and, you know, still problems we need to solve together. So I think it would be in our best interest to meet frequently until those problems.
So is it healthy to say we're in a state of crisis, and that's the reason why we're
You can
meeting?
agree with that.
All right, thank you.
All right, I'm glad that solves that.
I was saying, let's call it what it is, right? Because the next time I attend, I'm gonna remind you.
Our last item, we'll need to go ahead. Oh, Nelsa, go ahead. I'm sorry, Mr. Hand.
I know, so.
Hi, hello, everyone. everyone. I'm sorry I can't be there. I miss you all. So I think that a lot of good points have been brought up about the use of the executive committee. But I have a suggestion. I also noticed that our staff, I just wanted to be transparent and, you know, I've reached out to Angel because I want to put the office oversight committee. I want to meet in June and I want to flavor it, Jessica. I'll talk to you about that. The way it should be, the concerns of the office, but also how the office liaises with the board and the chairs and all that. And when, you know, I don't know if I understand that we're reviewing the full board agendas, but in speaking and hearing about how busy we all are, and I do know that sometimes committee agendas are an issue. And even, you know, I think a lot of times the staff takes it upon themselves to do the agendas because the chairs are so busy or they don't meet or they don't interact with the staff sometimes enough, certain committees. If the executive board is going to meet, then maybe it should be more flavored with helping the committee chairs do their agendas or brainstorm almost strategic planning so that if you don't meet every month, that there's almost like a strategic plan for the committees and almost planning so that this way 50% of the work gets done by the chair and 50% gets done by the staff liaison, and things can be ironed out months in advance, which may help with quorum and interest and helping the committee members research to help inform the committee agendas. And that also will translate into minutes, but I'll talk to you more offline about that. But office oversight is looking to put a meeting on the agenda next month. I know that our date is taken by another committee, so we'll obviously be flexible, but I think maybe we need to see the best use of executive and how it can help support the chairs themselves.
Thank you, Nelson.
Yeah, I also like that.
You know, to change her phone number. I texted her for like a month and a half, telling her I hope she feels
No,
better.
no, my other
Never
line is
responds
not
to me.
working. I need a
See?
replacement.
That's not board business.
Okay.
Let's go.
All right, we're gonna not let.
No, I also
Jose talk.
agree with, if we are gonna be meeting an executive committee.
Replacement phone, but I love you all.
If it's because we're in crisis, I do think we should support the other chairs who are not able to
Yes.
meet. That way,
We're in crisis.
Agree, and I think, you know, we talked a little bit a few months ago about planning agendas in advance, and I think it's really as simple as opening an email. Someone asks for a request, you put that request in the agenda, and then you have a meeting with your staff liaison, and you say, great, let's do it, and it just needs to be a little bit more proactive, but we can use this meeting space for that as well.
not to take on more time, but just wondering, like, so for an example, say housing doesn't meet or is not able to meet. If the issue feels like it overlaps with human services, can it be something that our committee picks up?
I think the challenge is the groups, like a lot of the, like my interests, right? I'll speak selfishly, and there's nothing on Green. Green's an excellent, Green is more present than anybody here.
Yeah.
The committee over the last, before my birth, right, has built, from what I can't speak for staff, but from my understanding, they have built the network with the tenant associations, with the housing advocates.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I think I like your point. I was being proactive and saying, you know, something to think of as leadership. Hey, should youth and education fall short, Echo Dev will take over that hurdle. If housing falls short, human services, but more importantly, because, you know, it's great to hear from the board members. I love the members. I want to hear from the advocates. I want to hear from the community-based organizations. And that's kind of where again, not making this personal, but professionally speaking, my anxiety of going through this city of yes for the entire city is, you know, I'm gonna get approached by a whole bunch of housing when everyone goes away for the summer, I go home and I'm still serving the district. All these people are gonna come up to me and say, hey, well, you know, why this, why that? And of course, you know, we gotta be diplomatic and realistic and say, hey, look, we're volunteers, we're putting in an effort. there are 3 other stages, you could go borough president, et cetera, but I do think it helps to have that fallback, like I see executive needing to exist or meet monthly, because SDN hasn't met, I don't know, since, right? And we're coming in September, putting in God knows how many requests to be submitted by October, and there's been no discussion, is what I'm hearing as of May 2024. So I already, being the previous SDN chair, I know those challenges that are gonna come forth, and I think if we use this time in that fashion, using senior brothers like Adem, Jose, Angel, who know, who've done this and could say, yeah, you know what? It may be hopeful, and listen, I get it, we all wanna be chairs, maybe it's time to, to merge.
Yeah.
Merge certain things and relinquish responsibility, so that way we're not losing quorum,
Yeah, I think
you
that's,
know?
something I think that Angel, Xavier and I are looking at is, what are the right number of committees, is there a possibility to, solve problems by combining or, but I don't have any of those answers.
No, it's discussion,
Angel.
and it's the chair's discretion anyway, because Xavier over the summer could just, the bylaws give him the right to make the choice without any of our input.
I'll go to Adem, then Jose, then.
I mean, that all sounds good. I just think, and like, I just find it concerning that we have to make all these accommodations, like, we're all willingly being here, and I mean, like, to hear that we have to consider merging, like, housing sounds like it should be its own committee. This isn't some small thing. This is probably with land use, and maybe more so than land use because it hasn't been getting much done for whatever reason. The most important committee we have, so, and I understand the dilemma that leadership could be in, and I don't think it's John's fault, he can't make people come to the meetings, but, I don't know, I mean, I guess we're gonna get to attendance next, right? I mean, it seems to go hand in hand with that, but, it's just like, it's getting frustrating, because it's the same group here, right? We all know we're doing the work, and then we gotta answer for like committee members of this, it's just like, it's getting ridiculous, if I'm being honest, and I don't think like that we should even be having to have this discussion, like you got the city yes housing thing. It's like the biggest thing, right? And I don't know, we're not really, it's.
I think personally, my biggest challenge has been building a leadership pipeline, because we're all here and we all do great work. How do we as leaders lift up others to become the next leaders? Because we all can't be doing this forever, right? We need support from the people around us, and unless we go out there and, demand that support, people are just gonna keep doing what they're doing, so.
One follow-up, sorry, like, take housing, for example, if there's like this consistent, has that committee's membership changed? Like, clearly it has, and they still can't get quorum, but okay, never mind. I figured that seemed like something you probably would have tried, all right.
Jose?
I mean, when I first joined the community board, we started getting these, like, supersized committees, right? Public safety was one committee, transportation. So we've already merged a lot of these committees. That's why you'll see in the and sign everywhere.
Yeah.
And you, and planning, public safety and transportation. All these were separate when I first joined too long ago, but, this is when Angel first joined. So just to keep that into consideration, like, and the biggest issue we have is just the attendance, and I think we need to be militant with the attendance, and if you just can't make it, then be a public member. Like, I think we are past the time of people just saying, I'm a community board member, so they can use it for their own personal need wherever they go. It doesn't really help that much.
No money at that time.
But some people are just like, they wanna keep it, you know what I mean? Maybe because they've been it for so long, maybe it's a nostalgic thing, I'm not sure, but all I know is that it's again, I agree, it's not John's fault,
Alright,
but it's tragic.
I hear you, Angel.
Yeah, so it's certainly attendance, but it isn't alone attendance. You could be in the room and be a bump on the log.
Yep,
Like these topics, whether you have a large committee or a small committee or a single topic or multi-topic, require attention and participation. being here a while, I remember how the committees were, and there was a very particular reason why the committees were rejiggered, is because they were failing at the time. Right? And we were suffering then from, committees, long gone now that were not achieving quorums. But there were also like the housing committee when I started was whiz bang committee, it was amazing. And the land use committee was amazing, and the economic development was amazing. And it was a product of the people that were at the table and their level of participation. This is a dynamic, a phenomenon that has happened ever since I've been aware of this board. You have a quiet committee and the chair is just talking the whole time. And then it looks like the chair is dominating the conversation. When that's not the case, it's just that the committee's quiet. Right? One of John's predecessors on housing, Jeremiah Schlottman, was very knowledgeable, as a colleague of Jason Wu at Legal Aid, very knowledgeable on housing policy and advocacy and all that. And he would come prepared for his meetings and he'd be great. And then he would go, hey, what do you guys think? And nothing, like month after month after month. That's not a good committee.
No.
And it's not his fault. It's the rest of the team. And yes, a brand new member could feel overwhelmed. And I think in that instance, it is fair. But a member that's been around for a little while, you have to start raising your hand and ask those questions and participate and offer to help with minutes. Like, hey, I looked at this thing, I heard a podcast, I read an article, somebody told me, I read a newspaper article. That's what it requires. Otherwise, you just have a dead committee that might have great attendance and is just not producing anything, right? And I think that's a product of the members themselves, but also leadership. Leadership has to set an expectation for its members. That's what I was saying earlier. As veteran members speak to the new members and say, hey, look, it requires this. I think it's honest, right? It's not to overwhelm them, it's to be honest so they know what they're getting into. Like when you take a course, you read the syllabus, you're like, okay. And to say, oh, it's gonna be fine, it'll be easy, and then it's a bunch of stuff, then they get overwhelmed, that's unfair, right? So it's an unfair to that new member, and also it's a irresponsibility on the part of whomever's chairing in any capacity, a body, a committee or a body. You have to be honest with the people and you have to have expectations so that they know what they have to deliver on, right? Like all this white glove treatment, it doesn't help anybody. And the result is people that don't show up. You also have to be responsible in leadership in your decisions. The housing committee is suffering from people being appointed that shouldn't have been appointed, right? With good intention, but shouldn't have been there, right? And that's why they're not showing up, because they're like, what have they demonstrated, right? Like a point that I've made countless times is people should not be appointed to the board that have never come to a meeting.
Yeah.
And for the single reason that nothing against them, but they don't know the culture of the body yet. How do the meetings run? Who's saying what? What issues, like Isaac was saying earlier, what issues are hot and contentious and complex that I need to get up to speed on? That I need to understand all the different pieces. Not that I have to agree, but that I have to understand the different pieces so that I can engage and participate in an informed and then subsequently meaningful way, and constructive way, as opposed to, I don't know what the hell's going on, or I'm coming in hot because I'm motivated because I joined the community board and I'm hot stuff and I'm gonna tell everybody what's what, which is absurd. And it happens all the time, right? We'll leave the names out until we adjourn.
I don't know what you're saying.
And it's not helpful, right? So like it's curable, but I think it requires intent and honesty in order to fix it. Like Adam was saying, the housing committee, right? I told Isaac this when he took on human services. We had heard prior, there's just too many topics for this committee. Nonsense. You talk about one thing at a time. If you're focused on that one thing, then you focus on the next thing, you focus on the next thing. This is a capable person. Same thing with housing is an incredibly important committee. Land use is a very important committee, but if you flub it, then you flubbed it, right? And we have flubbed it in the past, right? But when you're, so you can resuscitate housing committee. The budget committee, this is the last thing I'll say, I'm sorry. The consequence of what's happened with the budget committee is a lack of clarity as to what it's supposed to be doing. It hasn't gotten clear instructions and it hasn't said clearly what it wants to do. So there's confusion. So the people showing up and are like, what? And then they don't know what the hell's going on. And then they don't know what the hell's going on. And then they don't know what the hell's going on. And then they don't know what the hell's going on. And then they don't know what the hell's going on. And then they don't know what the hell's going on. And then they don't know what the hell's going on. And then they don't know what the hell's going on. And then they don't know what the hell's going on. And then they don't know what the hell's going on. And then they don't know what the hell's going on. And then they don't know what the hell's going on. And then they don't know what the hell's going on. And then they don't know what the hell's going on. And then they don't know what the hell's going on. And then they don't know what the hell's going on. And then they don't know what the hell's going on. And then they don't know what the hell's going on. And then they don't know what the hell's going on. And then they don't know what the hell's going on. And then they don't know what the hell's going on. And then they don't know what the hell's going on. And then they don't know what the hell's going on. And then they don't know what the hell's going on. And then they don't know what the hell's going on. And then they don't know what the hell's going on. And then they don't know what the hell's going on. And then they don't know what the hell's And it's a big task. The idea of, well, let's appoint the vice chairs who are working hand in glove with the chair, that's an assumption. And then they're gonna come and be informed and be at the budget table and know and can speak on behalf of the committee from an informed place. Hasn't borne out, right? You have people showing up to the budget table and they're like, "Blah, blah." And they're, Angel, what do you think? I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Well, I think we shouldn't have this meeting, is what I think, right? Because we're all wasting each other's time. But if you did have people at that table that were focused, and not just on their own issues, I'll say, not just, hey, I really like this thing, so I'm gonna be on this committee just to, or on the board, just to push my own agenda. That's wrong. You have to be thinking outside, right? I no longer need an affordable apartment. Doesn't mean I'm not, every single thing you hear in my mouth is affordable, right? Because it's about the community, and that's the same intent that the board member should always have. It should always be for everybody else, right? So whether you live across the street or you live in another borough and you just so happen to have some kind of association to the district, your focus is on the district. So when you're on the budget committee, you're thinking about the entire district and how do these things play into each other. Sorry, I'm long-winded.
No, I love
Thank
you.
Yeah.
Preach.
And,
You're right,
yeah,
you're right.
we're gonna entertain just two more quick thoughts, but I would just like to ask that when we go into our meetings next month, if we could just make it a point to, well, you know, say hello to new members if they're there, and to communicate to the members of the committees, you know, what we have talked about here. To be there in community with the new people, to help them understand what's expected, and honestly, to see, you know, as we go for the summer, think about what your role as an individual on the board might be. And if you might be interested in stepping up or, you know, participating differently, and we all are, you know, resources to them if they want to have chats, or, you know, if you want to send them to, you know, us, we can certainly talk to them too, but you know, we all have to work together to sort of, you know, build this moment, so. I know Asher, and then, you're good, okay, Anne Marie, and then we'll call it.
Alright, I'm trying to think how I'm gonna word this. I think we're being a little bit too nice, which has been said in the past. And I think our niceness has been taken advantage of in certain ways with certain attitudes from members. When we tell them very nicely, hey, attendance, blah, 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 we've laid down what the attendance policy is. There's been multiple emails sent out. And I think we just need to be straight up with people and expectations. Because I've had members of my committee be, for lack of a better term, incredibly disrespectful over the attendance. So I think we just need to.
Buckle up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you, and I've seen and heard the same things. Henry?
So I have two questions. The first one is, do we get a list of the new members first before they start? So in September, we have new members. Can I know who are they, and I can reach out to them before September?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of get them homework, this is what you're gonna do.
Yep.
Instead of, you know, this is what I was trying to push. The second one, the second question is, does the chair and the liaison have to work on the agenda? Can all the members work on the agenda?
Well, so I think you can discuss potential items to be added to the agenda at any given meeting. And then, but I think the work to set the agenda comes from the chair and hopefully the vice chair and the staff liaison together. But your question about the, absolutely, please reach out to new members, and I think we have to just, you know, go through the process to understand who's gonna be on what committee first, but, I think we can share who is joining the committee and we can all reach out. Angel?
Yeah, so once, so like, you guys have applied for committees before, so the new members will get, everybody will get the form, what they wanna, you know, what their requests are for committee assignments, then the chair, Xavier, will make that determination over the summer. Once he's finalized the list, then I will email all of the committee chairs. Here's your roster, and here's the committee list document, the shared committee list document, that you as chairs have access to, and all the contact information is there, so you can reach out to.
And we'll get them before September.
Yeah, of course,
Sometimes.
yeah,
That's fine.
always.
Saw that, actually, saw that, yeah, so good. That's my brother.
Last one.
You never go.
Yeah, it's, recommendation, play dates. We all work, no play, makes a rainy day. Reach out to your brothers and sisters, ask them, hang out, spend some time with them. I've broken bread with a lot of you. I've worked with a lot of you, I served with a lot of you, and those I didn't. hopefully we have some time to play. Example given, next June. I know it's the last meeting of the month, hopefully, unless the world decides to assemble over the summer. So I'm buying pizza for all the members, right? Don't have to do that. As much as there's a lot of other things we don't have to do, but the more remote and the more disconnected you as a leader are to your members, the more remote and the more disconnected your members will be at the meetings. Right? The reason I got 52 questions for a city of a house, I'm sorry, a city of yes zoning text amendment, it says I've been stressing it to my body since November of 2023. So that's what made the work, the effort, right? And I'm, you know, I always toot my own horn and pat myself in the back, but it's more of giving it, these are the skills, right? Because we're dealing with humans, and of course, yes, Asher and Jose, and yes, we want to be super strict, but remember, right? Sometimes we need to provide direction, especially when sheep get lost, so that way we can put them back into the right path, so.
I think we're all on the same page. I think we all know what it means to take, and there's a lot of work to do. Will be easier if we do it together. I know we have one more item on the agenda, motion, if I'll entertain a motion in executive session.
Motion to go executive, okay.
Motion, second by Asher, all in favor, any opposed? Any abstentions, the motion carries. Do we have anyone from the public?
Yeah, just Indigo, the 7th, I don't know what that is. So any non-board members have to leave the meeting. The committee's about to go into executive session. So Indigo 7, if you're not a board member, I don't recognize that name. I will be removing you from attendance.
Oh, yeah, and we'll get time to call and then meet people, your meeting will start right away.
So I was thinking during the summer, we,
No.
If there are no objections, we'll adjourn the meeting. Can we do a roll call?
Jose, Stephanie here, Adem, Rosa,
Present.
Jessica,
Present.
John, Anne Marie, Nilsa,
Present.
Claudia,
Present.
Asher,
Present.
Xavier's out, Isaac, present, Jason, B.
Present.
Seeing no further business, the meeting is adjourned at 8:44. Thank you, everybody.
Okay.
It's gonna be a quick one.